Okay, things to remember in using your thought power for the production of new conditions. In using your thought power for the production of new conditions, number one, be sure to know exactly what conditions you wish to produce. Then weigh carefully what further results the accomplishment of your desire will lead to. Two, by letting your thought dwell upon a mental picture, you are concentrating the creative action of spirit in this center, where its forces are equally balanced. Number three, visualizing brings your objective mind into a state of equilibrium, which enables you to consciously direct the flow of spirit to a definitely recognized purpose and to carefully guard your thoughts from including a flow in the opposite direction. You must also bear in mind that you are dealing with a wonderful potential energy which is not yet differentiated into any particular form, and that by the action of your mind, you can differentiate it into any specific form that you will. Your picture assists you to keep your mind fixed on the fact that the inflow of this creative energy is taking place. Also, by your mental picture, you are determining the direction you wish the sensitive creative power to take, and by doing this, you make the externalization of your picture a certainty. Remember, when you are visualizing properly, that there is no strenuous effort to hold your thought forms in place. Strenuous effort defeats your purpose and suggests the consciousness of an adverse force to be fought against, and this creates conditions adverse to your picture. By holding your picture in a cheerful frame of mind, you shut out all thoughts that would disperse or dissipate the spiritual nucleus of your picture. Because the law is creative in its action, your pictured desire is certain of accomplishment. The seventh and great thing to remember in visualizing is that you are making a mental picture for the purpose of determining the quality you are giving to the previously undifferentiated substance and energy, rather than to arrange the specific circumstances for its manifestation. That is the work of creative power itself. It will build its own forms of expression quite naturally if you will allow it, and save you a great deal of needless anxiety. What you really want is expansion in a certain direction, whether of health, wealth, or what not, and so long as you get it, as you surely will, if you confidently hold to your picture, what does it matter whether it reaches by some channel which you thought you could count upon, or through some other of whose existence you have no idea? You are concentrating energy of a particular kind for a particular purpose. Keep this in mind and let specific details take care of themselves, and never mention what you are doing to anyone. Remember always that nature, from her clearly visible surface to her most arcane depths, is one vast storehouse of light and good, entirely devoted to your individual use. Your conscious oneness with the great whole is the secret of success, and when once you have fathomed this, you can enjoy your possession of the whole or a part of it at will, because by your recognition you have made it and can increasingly make it yours. Never forget that every physical thing, whether for you or against you, was a sustained thought before it was a thing. Thought as thought is neither good nor bad. It is creative action and always takes physical form. Therefore, the thoughts you dwell upon become the things you possess or do not possess. A man came to me telling me how he longed to marry a certain young woman, but felt he could not afford to, as his salary was small and work uncertain. I spoke the word of ever-present, certain, unlimited supply, and explained that love knows no failure. It is yours to enjoy. See yourself in the kind of a home you both want. Do your part. Keep on loving the girl and believe absolutely in that which lives and loves in you. A few months later, they both came to my study looking radiantly happy. I knew they were married. The wife said to me, "Dear Mrs. Garand, we are very happy because we now know how to use our thought power and hold a consciousness as one with all we want. So be yourself and enjoy life in your own divine way. Do not fear to be your true self, for everything you want wants you."
I love that bit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the way that she's telling us to just recognize what we are reminds me of Kevin Trudeau's just master the basics, like believe the processes, believe that the vibration that you're putting out is what you'll get back, first of all, before you start focusing on what is the vibration that you're putting out. You know, believe it first. And this is the same, this is what she's doing here. And like with the last chapter, she was talking about having the affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
To see yourself as the center that tells the energy what to do. Like the energy, when it comes in, it's neutral, and then we direct it to whatever ends we want it to.
Right.
And I think she's in this chapter again, she's really pushing home the point of see it, like really believe that fact first.
Yeah, and in this, like number 4, you must always bear in mind that you're dealing with wonderful potential energy, which is not yet differentiated into any particular form. And by the action of your mind, you can differentiate it into any specific form that you will. So that again is kind of emphasizing what you said. And again, it's right in line with what Wallace Waddles says. Absolutely the same thing.
Yeah, and Abraham as well. And she goes even a step further to say that that's the purpose for us being here, is to differentiate the energy. Because otherwise it just is.
Yeah.
What does that really mean, to differentiate the energy?
So through our individual perspectives, we can bend, for want of a better word, bend the energy to whatever ends and means we decide.
Yeah,
Okay.
form the just a minute, I'm looking for the terminology in Wallace Waddles. The thinking stuff, which in its original state permeates and penetrates and fills the interspaces of the universe. So that's what that we are differentiating, that thinking stuff. So it's just in a kind of a nothing form until we form thoughts about what we want, which takes the thinking stuff and manifests it into what it is that we're wanting to achieve. And so each one of us, our job is to create this thinking stuff, which is undifferentiated. It's just like, oh brother, who's this?
What's that?
That's my phone. Okay, I'm going to go for a second if you guys don't mind.
Yep, no, that's fine.
Okay.
So in 3, I found this really interesting because she said, visualizing brings your objective mind into a state of equilibrium, which enables you to consciously direct the flow of spirit to a definitely recognized purpose, and to carefully guard your thoughts from including a flow in the opposite direction. And then she goes on a bit more about it, but that, to me, she's saying that having a picture helps you to direct it in a certain way that you want it to, but it's not going to be exact, because later on she says down in 7 that when we have a picture, it's determining a certain quality of the spirit rather than to arrange the specific circumstances, that it says that's the work of the creative power itself. So it will build its own forms of expression quite naturally if you allow it. And you know how they're always saying to us, let go of the way that it's going to come to you. Like, don't, if you need to buy something, don't decide it's going to be money that brings it to you. And she says that again here. She says, if you confidently hold onto your picture, what does it matter whether it reaches by some channel which you thought you could count upon, or through some other whose existence you had no idea?
Seems like the same kind of thing that was demonstrated with you with the computer and the getting onto the Zoom.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
Very interesting. So you are concentrating energy of a particular kind for a particular purpose. Keep in mind, let specific details take care of themselves. So I think that the picture, that she's making more of a point that the picture is just so that we can hold our vibration firm.
Hold on to the having a visual image, you know, the kind of to contribute to that, you know, bringing up the invoking the feelings, the emotions. I
Yeah,
would imagine.
exactly, because that's what actually does the work. The image is for us to be able to hold that idea.
It's kind of what I'm testing right now about with my leg. You know, I know I've got some more therapy to go where I need to work on being able to bend my knee further and my ankle to have more flexibility and being able to go further with it like it was before. But also the thing that there's a part of my leg that I've always had kind of a tendency to want to walk with my foot kind of out instead of being my toes being directly straight ahead, and it impacts the way the alignment of my leg is. So it feels kind of like the upper leg wants to kind of go inward when I want to bend on my knee and raise my foot up, and so while bending my knee, and so I'm trying to now to get utilize the therapy that I'm getting to try to help me to kind of walk where I can, you know, get used to walking to keep the toes straight, but yet not have, and just strengthen the hip so that the knee stays straight in alignment too. So I'm having to really work at that. So that sounds like that would be ideal way to practice with, is using that, getting the image of it.
Yeah, because then the image will give you the feel, which then sends that signal to the rest of the body.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also interesting that, because you have pins in that leg, don't you?
I do. I have pins in my the lower part of my leg, down from the below my knee all the way down to my ankle and my right leg. And it feels like, you know, the leg has kind of felt like it's twisted when I try to keep the toes pointed, because the thigh, you know, is like when I'm laying down, I'm sitting right now up on my bed, and it's like the thigh wants to, the knee seems like when I point the toes, it seems like the knees kind of go inward almost a bit. It's like, this is kind of tricky.
It sounds like it's not set in your natural position where you would usually hold it with your toe pointing slightly outwards. They've kind of pinned it where it's straight.
And I would like it to be more straight, you know, even if it wasn't anywhere near straight before the accident. But, you know, anyway, I just felt like, you know, with having the pins in it, I felt like maybe there was a little bit more restriction, but I guess there's still a little bit of swelling, you know.
It'll be interesting to see how you end up with it later, if you go back to your natural position or if you take on that new straight position.
I found out that over the last couple of days that I really needed to, I was just noticing that with my foot. It's the first time I've been able to really start to, you know, really be one with it while walking. It was like I was doing like a walking meditation with the walker, walking really slow, taking it, going from the heel, all, you know, feeling every part of the foot as I went to flex and walking the foot. And like, this is interesting. So it feels good to be able to start to flex more now.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm also experimenting with some energies that are, it's something that is considered to be unheard of by many people. Especially, you have to be really careful with the FDA, I guess. It's making plasma that's kind of it's with some this other substance that's called gains, and it does something with, it supports life, healthy life, and so it helps to the same time to be able supposedly to be beneficial for the healing and restoration of health. And so I've got, the way it's set up is like there's a cotton that is placed inside some plastic, special thick plastic that gets sealed up. And so it can be good forever, basically. And it's called patches. And so there's patches, and I've got right now sitting in the bottom between my foot and my slipper that, well, let's experiment it. Because last night, actually, there's somebody came over and helped me to prepare some of this. And so I put it on my legs, and this morning I didn't really have any pain and wake up to pain. But this is really interesting. So I even put some on my neck because I'm also wanting to visualize, imagine this tumor or whatever growth it is that's above my vocal cords to dissolve. And so I'm all about this, wanting to really utilize these tools this way, working with the energies to help to resolve it.
I wonder if you had a look at what healthy vocal cords look like and imagined that in your mind as your own.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey.
Wonderful.
Good. We're just talking about how she, we've heard it before, but she kind of puts it really well, that us having a picture just helps us to maintain the energy of what we want.
Yeah.
So it's more for us, really, because
exactly.
Yeah, because the spirit then decides how it will come to us. It's not going to bring it to us exactly how we've pictured it, and we should have an outcome there as well.
That's our one of our resistance units, isn't it? Where we're always thinking about the how.
Yeah.
And I believe that really that is a resistance. So as soon as we start resorting to trying to figure out how we're going to obtain what we want, what our goal is, I think that we're kind of canceling out some of the positive energy of the visualization.
Exactly. And she says, don't put any strenuous effort in.
Right.
And that comes with trying to work out how it's going to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's just such a habit that we have that you don't even realize you're doing it sometimes. So you're kind of defining how your goal is going to come to you. So, like, for example, like, I keep forgetting that my true goal really is, well, I have a few of them, but if, say, one of them is that I want to travel the world, well, pretty soon I start thinking about, well, maybe my goal has to be how I'm going to earn money. So that's a resistance unit, right?
Yeah.
But that's what we think we have to do.
Yeah. I saw an interesting video the other day. It's actually the Mojo Master, who's my coach, and he said that money isn't the only currency. Energy is a currency. Knowledge is a currency.
Right.
A kind word is a currency.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was talking with, I'm sure you guys have seen him, James Godin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking with him yesterday. And he gave me a couple of ideas, and one was that I can't remember, we read it somewhere, you guys, and why I didn't continue with it, but we had been talking about how visualization and affirmation sometimes can, you don't believe them, so they actually act as a negative.
Yeah.
Right? You say to yourself how that, I'm wealthy, and so then we decided we were going to come up with affirmations that were believable to ourselves. And so he and I talked about that a little bit yesterday, and he said, just when you're falling asleep and when you're waking up in the morning, just repeat the word to yourself, wealth, because you're not attaching any emotion to it, or there can be no resistance, because you're not saying to yourself, I am wealthy, and you're not saying to yourself, man, I wish I was wealthy. You're not saying any of that. You're just seeing a picture of wealth. So it is actually
without any feelings. I thought feelings
well,
needed to
no,
be a part of
feeling
it.
good, but if you're saying an affirmation that you really don't believe,
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to convince yourself, but
Okay.
your consciousness is saying, "Are you crazy? You
Yeah.
really don't believe it." But so you're really doing yourself more harm than good by
Mm.
repeating those kind of affirmations.
Yeah.
So if you see the picture wealth, you can't help but feel good.
Have you tried it?
Yes. And I was trying it before, and we read it in a book somewhere, and I just can't remember what book it was.
And I think we were talking about it on, not this one, maybe the other study a couple of
Well,
weeks
maybe
ago.
it wasn't on the other study, but yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely were talking about trying that.
Yeah. Because I can see how that would work, because you take on the essence of wealth without putting it into your personal.
Yeah, without trying to convince yourself that you're wealthy. Like, yes, it's, when Napoleon Hill started saying the affirmation about how he was going to beat, um, what's his
Carnegie.
name? Yeah, Carnegie. At first, he felt really stupid saying it, but eventually, he started believing it. And that's okay if you can if you are going to eventually believe it. But for me to say I am wealthy and I have, all the amount of money I ever need, I don't know. Like, to me, I can't.
And remember his situation. He was spending a lot of time with Carnegie, learning the process and finding out what the assignment was that he was doing. So he had Carnegie right there telling him,
yes, that's
do
true.
this, you will pass me. There's no doubt. So that makes it a lot easier when you have a coach like that or a mentor who is confirming to you that this is what will happen for you.
Yeah, because the rest of us, we end up trailing off, right? We know when we first read the book, talk to somebody, but then eventually our habits end up taking over again, and you start doubting again, right?
Yeah.
It's pulling yourself back in. So this was, I thought, is an easy way to visualize without invoking any negative doubts, or you don't have to tell yourself I have to have faith in this. You're just feeling, like you said, the essence of it. And so your subconscious mind is latching on to the essence of wealth.
Yeah, and you're vibrating in the frequency of wealth without any resistance.
Without the resistance. And I'm sure that for me that is what's blocking me, is the resistance.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You mentioned about just use the word, just focus on, contemplate on that word, wealth. Say, I've heard that before from Joseph Murphy, who was another pioneer.
And that might be where it was from, Callie. I know that I read it somewhere, and we talked about it, and it was a few weeks ago, and I tried it, and then I forgot about it. And how that happens, I don't know. I just did.
I think I'll try it. I'll give it some try. Give it a try too.
So, anyways, I'm trying it again, and it does feel good. I feel much better just thinking about wealth than trying to envision myself, like on a yacht or traveling somewhere or whatever. Like, to me, it still seems too unbelievable. But if I just focus on here's a bunch of wealth, let me look at it, I feel good about being around it or whatever, then it's a positive experience.
Or centered too, or centered, just centering. You're kind of centering yourself.
Yeah. So it feels like a positive experience rather than one where I'm experiencing some resistance.
Because she even says that if you do that, you'll create conditions adverse to your picture.
Exactly.
So you're going to be actively creating the opposite, which is not what we want.
Exactly.
So holding the picture in a cheerful frame of mind. And Napoleon Hill talks about that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you clarify what you were saying there? What it gets reversed?
So, well, if you're saying to yourself, I'm wealthy, but you know very well you're not, and you're creating a negative vibration by saying that, you're
Oh,
actually
right.
creating the more of not being wealthy.
So is that what makes it benefiting, just to say the word, contemplate on the word itself?
Yeah, unless
When
you don't
that
have any
situation happens.
unless you don't have any resistance there, then that's fine.
I see. Interesting.
Right. And not just that, but if it takes strenuous effort even for you to hold that picture in your mind, if it's so that causes a negative or a reduction in your vibration level
Yeah.
as well,
I'm
right?
doing the pre-study listening for my NLP, and I have to listen to 100 hours of the training. And something I was listening to yesterday, she talks about, because it's all about the quantum field, this advanced NLP that I'm doing next, and she's talking about visualizing your goal and how that puts the message out into the field of possibilities. And she said you can't use strenuous effort when you're thinking about your goal, because that in itself is resistant. She said you have to fall in love with your goal. You have to be in love with it. She says when you meet a new boyfriend or girlfriend, you find yourself at work and then you're drifting off thinking about them. You know, oh, their hair was so shiny, and oh, they touched my hand. I wonder what that meant. You know, you're not trying to think about them. You just can't stop yourself from thinking about them. And that's how you need to make your goal. You need to be so in love with it that you can't stop yourself from thinking about it. It shouldn't be, okay, now I'm going to sit down and visualize my goal.
Yeah.
You really have to get yourself to fall in love with it.
Well, in that case, I think I'm in a little bit of a challenge, and kind of maybe have to refocus my mindset a little bit about going home, because I don't really want to go back home where the area, the neighborhood that I live in, but yet it's my home. And eventually I would like to get somewhere else. So what could I do with that? It's like, I need to be going home, but yet, probably in about 2 or 3 more weeks.
Visualize your ideal home.
Okay. Good idea.
Yeah. Always visualize your ideal of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, I'm still getting birthday wishes on oh, yesterday was just, I've never had so many birthday wishes, honestly.
Down towards the bottom of that page, last week when we went through the other chapter with Kathy and we talked about the affirmation, seeing ourselves as the center that the spirit is differentiated through. And she talks about it again here. She says, remember always that nature, from her clearly visible surface to her most, is it arcane depths?
Arcane, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that word means. I'll look it up.
Okay. But anyway, it's basically saying that this vast storehouse of light and good, entirely devoted to your individual use. So this thinking stuff, consciousness, spirit, energy, whatever you want to call it, is entirely devoted to our individual use. So your conscious oneness with the great whole is the secret of success. And once you have fathomed this, you can enjoy your possession of the whole or a part of it at will, because by your recognition, you have made it and can increasingly make it yours. So her point here is she's saying that we need to work on our conscious oneness with the whole as part of spirit. And when we make that recognition and when we believe that wholly, that is when we will make full use of it. And I thought that took me back to the affirmation of last week as a core basic belief that we need to have, is that I'm a center of divine purpose, or however we chose to say that to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's confirming that here, and she's saying that once we fathom this, then we can enjoy full possession of it. But not before.
Yeah. So definitely it's the belief part.
Yeah,
Right.
we need to know that we are one with
That
consciousness.
we are one, exactly. So again, I think it's the believing altogether, like in the affirmations, in the way that you envision your desires. Everything is it comes down to belief. Because if you don't really believe it and you say, well, I'm going to do this because I'm supposed to, but I really can't see how it's going to happen, or, I'll believe it when I see it, or you're just throwing up a wall. And there's no way it'll come to fruition if you do that. You have to believe it. Like James, when I was talking to him the other day, he says you have to believe it 1,000%, not just 100, 1,000% believe it.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
the first step is just believing who we really are.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that would be the foundation. Is
Yeah.
This is who we are, so this is why we are powerful.
Yeah, and once we believe that, then the other things should just come naturally, shouldn't they?
They should.
Mm.
That's a good point.
So I think that this affirmation that we decided to come up with last week is going to be really helpful just to getting that core basic belief.
Which affirmation?
Well, last week we talked about, we went through the steps of visualization in chapter 6.
Okay.
And before bringing your picture up, she talks about visualizing the light coming in to you. And then we differentiate it into whichever perspective or whatever we desire. She talked about coming up with an affirmation that something like life substance of this universe is finding pleasure in self-recognition in me, or I am a center for self-differentiation for spirit, but something along those lines, so that we're believing ourselves as a center of divine, how else does she say it? A center of divine operation.
Operation, right. Yeah, I am a center of divine operation, and my purpose is to differentiate substance, to create like a experience fuller. How does that go? Fuller and something expansion. There's a phrase that we all know that's been used, and Bob and Sandy, they say it off the tip. It just rolls off the tip of their tongue. They've said it so many times.
Like forever expanding and forever.
And so does Mary Morrissey say that we were created for something and fuller expansion of something. There's a sentence that they all say it.
Self-recognition?
No, but I'll find it, and when I do, I'll put it in the.
It's in our. You said it, Cheryl, in one of our groups here.
I know, and I just can't exact wording right now, but we've heard it hundreds of times. That's what.
Yeah,
we are.
and I've even written it down.
You should have written it down. So whoever finds it first, write it in the Skype group.
Okay.
Yep. So basically it's expressing individuality and different perspectives through the human being and creating expansion. And Abraham talks about the expansion a lot. That's what we're here for. We're here for the purpose of the energy coming through us and turning that into whatever our desires are for expansion of the universe and creating new thoughts. And have you noticed how they react when they talk about something in a way that it hasn't been talked about? They'll like writhe in the feeling of it, and they'll say, we're just milking this because it just feels so good because we've never spoken about it in this way, and we're creating new thought. We're creating an expansion. We're co-creating together right now through this conversation, expanding the universe through the new thoughts that are being created. And so that's what our purpose is.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And I know that, I'm pretty sure it was Wallace Wattles talks about how that the universal intelligence is living through us to bring forth like differences, so that we can so that it can enjoy the beauties of life through us.
Yeah. Yep. Pleasure and expansion.
Yeah.
I've written that down too. I'm sure we all have written it down.
Yeah. And Wallace Wattles says that the desire that we have is proof that we are capable of having whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, because if we didn't desire it, it wouldn't exist.
Mm. And so that makes me wonder, you know, where does the original desire come from? Is it from our higher self who had a plan for us here, that when we think about that certain thing, we have a desire to do it, but when another person thinks about something different, they have a desire to do that? Is that kind of our thing that we need to fulfill in this life to create our expansion that we decided we were going to do while we were here, or is it just random?
Oh, yeah. That's interesting thought, eh?
Mm.
Maybe that desire was with us. Something. You know, I look back and you know, like I have blocked out so much of my childhood. And I look back a little while ago and realized, you know, I remember wanting to travel to Spain and Ireland when I was like, you know, 7 and 8 years old.
Wow.
And how did I forget that until now? Isn't that just amazing?
Probably that was a contribution of all the other things that came at play that seemed to be the priority.
Yeah, you just, life happened and you just kind of put it aside because you know what, it's kind of painful because you come to a realization, which is a lie, that that's never going to happen for you. So you bury it.
Mm.
Okay?
Yeah. And isn't it interesting that your subconscious has allowed that memory to come back up now?
Yeah. Well, so that must mean I'm making progress, right?
It must do, I think. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just having a look at the last.
And the best there is, yeah, okay, just a minute. That was last week. The best there is mine. And there's no limit to me. And
She's talking about sustained thought again as well in that, just at the bottom of that page where we were just talking about conscious oneness.
right.
To get that every physical thing, whether for you or against you, was sustained thought before it was a thing. So I still find that everywhere. You know, the will to hold the thought, sustained thought.
Yeah.
You know, it still seems to be everywhere I look.
Yeah.
It's not a fleeting thought. It's definitely, you've got to have some kind of desire around it for it to be coming up as a thought and being held there as a thought.
Yeah. And it really takes a conscious effort to not let yourself get carried away all day long in your regular business without stopping yourself to so that you're not like constantly generating the negative vibrations.
Yeah.
It does take a really conscious effort to do it.
Yeah. You know what? I think that might be where the most conscious effort and use of will comes in, is blocking out all the noise that's there.
Yes.
Not so much in holding the thought that we want, because I think that's pretty easy if the noise wasn't there.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And your illustration of your desire to travel is perfect. You know, look how much that noise has completely blocked it. You haven't even been able to hold that thought for years.
Exactly. I just totally forgot that was a dream of mine as a kid.
Yeah.
No.
Is it still a dream?
Oh, absolutely. Number one dream. Like when I see pictures come up on my computer, when you fire it up and you get, a scene of a street in Europe or something, and I just go,
It gets your attention, yeah.
Yeah, my breath away. So yes, sometimes I go traveling through Europe on Pinterest.
It sounds like interesting places to go see.
Yes.
I'm gonna read the last sentence again because I just love it. Or the last two sentences. So be yourself and enjoy life in your own divine way. Well, that's what we're put here to do, isn't it? Do not fear to be your true self, for everything you want wants you. I love
Right.
Yeah.
And we've read that in other books as well, where it says whatever you're looking for is looking for you.
Yeah.
You just have to get rid of the resistance.
Yeah, realize what we are and how powerful we are, and what.
Yeah. And truly believing it, I guess. So I'm doing an experiment with James, and so he's asked me to do this, and he did a live post on Facebook today about that too, about just saying, the word wealth, confidently and enthusiastically, but not attaching anything around it. Not I am wealthy, not I wish I was wealthy, not anything, just the wealth, just thinking about wealth and whatever picture that happens to put in your mind. That might be a pile of cash, it might be whatever picture it brings to your mind. You just focus on that picture. And then, and actually having a goal card where you just totally believe it's going to happen in 30 days at the latest. And just believing it. Don't even allow the smallest bit of defeat in there at all. So I'm trying my hardest to do this for 30 days.
Or hesitancy.
Yeah, or hesitancy, disbelief, or anything like that. So he said it'll work. You do it, and you believe it. It's going to work. So I'm going, okay. I'm going to ultimately do it. I think I'm more believing in him than I'm believing in that. And I think sometimes that's the key too, because Bob often talks about, he didn't believe that he could do this, but he believed because the other guy believed he could do it.
Yes.
Remember him saying that?
Yep. And that's similar with Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie as well.
Yeah.
Carnegie assured him that it was possible, and so, okay, well, you believe it, and look at you, you're the richest man on this piece of dirt we live on, so you must know a bit.
Right. So that's my experiment for the next 30 days, is I'm believing this because James believes it. So I'm going, okay, if you believe it, that's good enough for me. I'm going to believe it then too.
Yep. Excellent.
So hopefully that changes my mindset, and I let go of some of the resistance then.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what happens.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe some more bonuses.
Yeah, well, no, this time I'm looking for $35,000. I put out a number.
Okay.
And I have and this is what I'm going to do with it. So within 30 days, I'm going to have in my possession the sum of $35,000. And 5's going here, 5's going there, 5's going here, and 5 for me. Yay!
I would find it really interesting if you won a $35,000 trip around the world.
Yeah, wouldn't that be neat, hey? Well, no, I need the money for certain things. So $5,000 trip around the world.
Plan it all out. Hey, though, have you decided to play with that game you mentioned to us?
Well, no, I had tried it, and because on my phone it wasn't allowing me to record where I was spending the money, I just kind of gave up on it. Oh. But maybe I can try again, because had to get this new fancy iPhone.
Put it in your journal then. Write it in a journal.
Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. Yeah, but Callie, you probably missed, like, what was I do? Oh, yeah. Nicole and I think were the only ones on call one day. And I was reading E Squared. Have you read that book?
No.
Pam Grout?
I haven't read it. I
talked about it in one of our groups at one time.
Oh,
Because I've got it written on a sticky on my cupboard here. And just by accident, not by accident, okay, I went to our, do you guys have Value Village in the States? I'm sure you do.
Yes.
Okay, so I went to Value Village one day, and sure enough, the book was there. And I just looked at the sticky on my cupboard, and the book was there. So I read it, and it's actually 9 experiments that you can do to assure yourself, or so that you believe that you are a creator and in the law of attraction and all that kind of stuff. So the one of the experiments.
Which E Square book is it?
E Squared.
Which one is it?
Oh, I don't
There's
know.
more than one. There's 1, 2, there's 3.
Really?
Yep. I happen to have the ebook on number 2. I just haven't read it.
Give me a second.
I think at home I even have 2 different E Square books. I just haven't gotten around to reading them.
I have the author's name written down here, but I don't know what I've done with it.
Okay.
It just says Pam Grout, E
Yep.
Squared. 9
Okay.
9 do-it-yourself energy experiments that prove your thoughts create your reality.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So what this experiment was is that you tell the universe that you need proof. And how did it read?
Oh, let me see.
Give me a second, and I'll find that one. It's a really interesting book, Callie. She puts it in such kind of a funny way. It's not rolling on the ground laughing or anything, but it is definitely some cute analogies, and each chapter is called something funny. Okay, but just a minute. Let me tell you what this was. So you're asking the universe to give you a sign, and you give it like 48 hours. Okay, so it's called the dude abides a principle. So the theory is there's an invisible energy force or field of infinite possibilities, and it's yours for the asking. So the question is, does this exist? So the hypothesis is, okay, here, I'll just say, here's your approach. So this is how she puts it that you can say out loud, or you can put it in your own words. Well, you go, I hate to break it to you, universal energy, but folks are starting to talk. They're starting to wonder, is this guy for real? I mean, really, like it'd be so much skin off your chin to come down here and call off this crazy hide-and-seek thing you've been playing. I'm giving you exactly 48 hours to make your presence known. I want a thumbs up, clear sign, something that cannot be written off as coincidence. So you're asking for some kind of a sign, a gift. So I did that. I didn't do it in those words exactly, but I did my own.
Yeah.
And so then 48 hours went by, and I thought, it didn't work, And then a few hours later, I realized that it really had worked. And I got a gift, and it was almost 48 hours to the minute, Callie. What happened was I must made a mistake on my paycheck. Yeah. And what I had done was she used the hours from the month before, but there was a few other things that she needed to do on my paycheck. I'd asked her to take the money out of my holiday pay fund, and she had given me a bonus for a deal that I had done. And so she was doing all those things. She forgot to change the number of hours. So she paid me for 136 hours instead of 119 because my hours had decreased this month. And so I got like almost $400 more than I was expecting. So I realized, when I realized it, I went back to her and I said, I really would like this paycheck, but I don't really think I deserve it. I think this is what you did. I think you paid me for last month's hours instead of this month. And she said, you know, well, thanks for the honesty, and how about if we just adjust it next month? And I said, yeah, that's fine. And she says, I'm sorry, I made make a mistake on your paycheck. And I said, well, that's fine. You know, it's like, I was such a pain in the butt with all the things I needed you to do. And she goes, let's just not even make an adjustment next month. She says, let's just chalk it up to the hard work that you do. So I just got a bonus. I didn't realize it until hours later, but it happened. I got my paycheck, my pay stub, at about 48 hours after I had done this demand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what was the demand? That you wanted proof?
That I wanted a gift.
You wanted a gift.
I wanted a gift of some kind that would give me irrefutable proof that it's there.
I did it as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
Yeah. After you spoke to me about it, I downloaded the book, and I asked the same thing for a gift that there'll be no denying that it came from universal intelligence, and it'll be so crystal clear that I'll know that that's exactly what it is, and within 48 hours. So
can you share that? Send that PDF to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the first thing that came to me, I ordered some books through the book depository, and I got this $100 wine gift card. And I thought to myself, this can't be it, because it's not in alignment with, you know, everything that I believe in. I really love drinking wine, but probably too much. So I don't think this is in alignment with it. I don't think this is it. Like, it wasn't irrefutable evidence that it was that. So the whole day went past. I started at noon. And then the next day to noon was 24 hours, and then the following day, so it's almost like 3 days when you start at lunchtime. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what it's going to be like. Nothing is turning up, and I was probably starting to feel a bit nervous about it. Yeah. And the following morning, I woke up early, and I just felt like going and writing, because one of my biggest dreams that I want to be able to do is to be an inspirational writer. And so I got up and I just started writing, and this piece of writing just flowed out of me without having to plan it or, you know, piece it together or get my ideas down first. And it just flowed out, and it just was probably only took 2 minutes to read when it was done.
You just put out there, I want to be an inspirational writer?
Well, that not in this particular time frame, but that is one of the things. That's one of my main things.
Okay.
Yes, to sign.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was just a gift, just an open gift, whatever. But it needed to be, when it came, I needed to know for sure that that's what it was. So I wrote it and I went, wow, that's awesome. And didn't think anything more of it for a little bit. And then I thought to myself, that was the gift.
That was the gift. Yeah, exactly.
And there's no denying it, because that's something that I really, really want. Like in my visualizations, in my pictures, I've got photos of, especially one of a woman sitting at a typewriter looking out of my dream window writing her books through inspiration. Napoleon Hill is an inspirational writer, and all of these people, this woman's an inspirational writer. So, yeah, that was the gift. I got up and something just completely flowed out of me onto the paper.
Yeah, and so many people see that happens. Like Neil Donald Walsh, right? He said it just started, he just put his pen to the paper and it just happened.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Tony Robbins also talks, not in the writing, but as he's up there, he feels he's not even the one that's speaking.
Yeah.
That the messages are coming through him. And also T. Harv Eker says the same thing. I just get up here and the words just come out of me. Like, I'm not doing this. And well, I'd say same with Esther Hicks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would call her an extreme case, because
hers is a little bit of channeling, but it's very different than the others.
It is, but yeah, it's kind of like the
especially
same.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Trying to get the point across that.
Yeah.
Some universal intelligence is coming through these people, they say that they just get up there and it just happens.
Yeah.
Like somebody is talking through them.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and I don't know whether it's that or whether it's just a broader perspective that they're tapping into, because the consciousness is coming to us already.
Yeah, and it's being played out through their personality, their characteristics, and so however that comes across or resonates, it comes across and as completely different perspectives and different angles of things. But when you look at it all, it's like everything is pretty much very similar, very much the same, except that it's with different formats and different ways.
Yeah, you know what? That's really interesting because often you wonder, like, that so many people are trying to get across the same message, but they reiterate it a different way. But because you know why? Because some people will resonate with one perspective more so than another, and that's why we have so many different perspectives going on here. Because I always wonder about that. It's like, you know, why is this guy talking about it this way, and this guy's talking about it this way? You know, why can't we just have one, you know, step by step? Here, this is what you do. But I think you're right. It's because it's got to come out in a different perspective.
9 times 9. This is a little funny to start off here, but 9 times 9 is 81, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 81, totally 81, if not more, 81 different perspectives, perceptions based upon personalities, characteristics, combinations, basically, because there's different combinations. Or even though we all have a design and we're all here for different purposes and life lessons and all whatnot, but there's the dynamic that a lot of people aren't even open to this, and we're not familiar with it, or they have different beliefs about it. It has to do with the law of mathematics of language, which plays out with the quality vibrations of our names, which brings us to contribution of all the character qualities in our name. The name that we use most, which is our first name or a nickname, it brings out a different dynamic perception based on the characteristics combined together. So it's a whole nother vibration, a whole nother study. But it's just a proof and point that, you know, there's different degrees and it's like some people are going to be much more, you know, practical, or some people are much more inspirational, and people are much more intellectual, social, and you got all in between and the mixtures.
And even Esther says that as well. She says, you know, this is my interpretation of what I'm receiving. So she said, check your own interpretation.
Yeah.
We all receive
uniquely different.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So next week, why I took up the study of mental science. That should be interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.